very excited to introduce. I'm very excited to introduce tonight's speaker, Corinne Jamison Cool. Corey is a seasoned dental professional and certified HR change agent. She is truly passionate about dental teams thriving and mastering excellence in their practice. Corey brings her real-life practical experience with employees to today's webinar and welcomes your questions and follow-up communication to better serve your dental office. And with that, Corey, the computer screen is all yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Candace. I'm really excited to be able to share this information with you over the next hour. And as Candace has mentioned, and as I chatted out as well, feel free to leave comments, questions. Another team member of Custom Dental Solutions is happy to help during this presentation as well. So we want this to be about your needs and what you're looking to accomplish from this class. And so with that, I will say that we are looking at starting the 3 C's for dental employment retention. And what does it actually mean? Basically, what that means is I have 3 options that I think will be really awesome for you to implement into your practice to really seek out the culture, the team, the members that you're looking to serve, and the members that you're looking to grow your practice with. So we're going to get started. And I'm going to just kind of move this box to the side so that I can kind of see a little bit better and make sure that I'm able to see the questions and comments too. So one of the things that we've noticed since the Great Pandemic is the Great Resignation, right? So we've come off of this major pandemic where people have become exhausted. They have been insecure about their position in a job. They've become ill, and so they've had to take care of themselves and others. And what we've seen is an exhausted culture. And it's not just within dentistry, but tonight's obvious topic is revolving around dentistry. And so how do we maintain and retain our team in a healthy environment so that they can perform to the highest level that we need for our businesses to move forward? And what do we do to serve them so that they feel seen and heard? And then also, what do we do to retain and attract the right team members to our practice? So the latest culture for dental employment, here's some statistics that you may have read through your ADA journal or you've seen online. This was about almost a year ago. And the majority of hiring dentists are requiring recruitment challenges are looking at a percentage of 66.3% are looking for dental hygienists. I personally think that number is a little bit higher than that, just simply because on a daily basis, I feel like I'm having conversations with many of you in regards to looking for a dental hygienist. How do we, get a hygienist that'll work full time? One of the things that I've also seen through the COVID pandemic is some members of our team, and we'll use the hygienist as an example as well, they found creative ways to maybe stay home more or to do a side hustle or to do something where they just really don't want to work the hours that they did previously. Sometimes we see employees are not supportive of maybe the COVID protocols or the lack thereof that we've put in place. And so they want to move on to other roles. Or we'll talk a little bit later about the elephant in the room as well, the wages as well, how we can create a better environment to attract the right people versus always have to talk about wages, right? So here's some statistics here that you can see for those of you looking for dental assistants. That number is a little bit behind the dental assistant or the dental hygienist rather. And what we see with the dental assistants, and most of you have experienced this as well, is how do we give them and offer them a competitive pay? Right now, I have an 18-year-old under my roof who is applying for a job, and of course it's manual labor, but it's $27.50 an hour with full benefits, 3 days a week. Now, again, it's physical labor, but he's being offered that high of a wage with benefits, 401k, health insurance, paid time off. Most of us can't pay our dental assistants a wage like that with the full-time benefits that kind of coincide with that. So we're seeing a discrepancy between the educated person and their wage and how to compensate them fairly and not go in the hole, right? Versus, maybe someone who has a high school diploma requirement that could go somewhere else outside of our dental walls and make more money. So it's really, truly a challenge. A recent study from HubSpot shows 69% of employees say that they would work harder rather if they felt more appreciated. And so one thing I like to talk to my owners about when we talk about culture or we consider HR solutions is, how are you showing appreciation to the team that you currently have? One example that I've been hearing of lately is certain organizations may offer a sign-on bonus to a team member to come over and jump ship from your place, right? And so people will say, well, Corey, should I offer a sign-on bonus so they'll come and come and work for me as well? But then you have an employee that's been there for 20 years or so, and they're kind of resentful of the thought this person's either making more money than me or they acquired the sign-on bonus, and hey, I've been here the whole time. How are you showing appreciation to them? So I would just encourage you to kind of look at, how are you showing appreciation to the people that work for you? And everybody requires that in a different way. But most of the time, money speaks, right? So, are you losing valuable employees? What reasons are you seeing for this great resignation? And I'm definitely looking to have you guys interact in this webinar. Sometimes it's challenging on my end to not see your faces and not have any interactions. And so I invite you, if you want to interact, definitely use this app if you'd like to. You can go ahead and type your responses in. It's completely anonymous. It doesn't show who you are and maybe what response you're wanting to give. But if you'd like to join the conversation, you can do that at slido.com. And our number for our course tonight is 815-305. So love to hear a little bit from you so that we can really circle around the conversation of, what reasons are you seeing for resignation? Number one is pay. And probably a lot of you are feeling that as well. You're seeing that pay scale obviously kind of get a little bit out of control. Higher pay elsewhere is another response, correct? And that is challenging, especially for private practice dental offices to compete with maybe an environment that can offer a higher wage along with benefits and so forth that we can't do. Drama, yeah, no growth opportunities. These are great reasons, and very much reality to what I see. We are based here in Wisconsin as Custom Dental Solutions, but we are national as well. And I can assure you the things that we're dealing with here in Wisconsin are so similar in other places throughout the country as well, as far as the Great Resignation and cultural changes and issues. And the reasons for the resignation are the same as well. A lack of training, that's another good reason as well. People want to feel that they are valued and they want that proper training. That's a great response. So thank you guys for participating and showing some of those responses of reasons what you're seeing. Lack of health insurance, that's a good one too. Very true. Here are some of the ones that I'm seeing. And one of them is staying home with family and meeting family needs. So many of you are so flexible and so understanding with family needs and really wanting to care for the team members that you've hired. And some of the ways that you're showing that is maybe you'll let them leave to go pick up a child from school or something like that, and then they come back and finish their work day, or maybe they start a little bit later in the day so they can, again, get a child off to school or something like that. And I feel that through the years, we've really become a more sensitive culture to family needs. Years ago, it really was kind of like, hey, these are the hours, it's 7 to 5 and there's no flexibility. You've got to find other solutions. But I think a lot of you have done a really great job of being creative to find a way to still meet the team or the employees' needs. But this is one of the reasons I'm seeing for people resigning and staying home, and or picking more of a part-time hour versus full-time hours. Another reason is the practice is just not the right fit. And someone had mentioned drama earlier, and that's so true. It is something that the culture is just really not looking to accept anymore. Again, we've had a change in mentality that if we don't feel we want to be in an environment, it's just easy for us to go down the street and find another job because jobs are plentiful right now. And so if the practice isn't a right fit, it's pretty easy just to walk out the door and go find something else to do, or walk in and get a job. So last week I was speaking in front of a couple dental hygiene student groups, a couple colleges. And one of the things the students were telling me as they're being highly sought after for employment was as they would call to schedule an interview with an office, and these offices were hiring them or attempting to hire them right on the spot with a phone call. And so make sure you're not coming across too desperate. This is really freaking out the students, and they're feeling like, whoa, this practice isn't the right fit for me right off the bat because it's just too aggressive, because we're so eager to get someone through the door. So make sure that if the practice isn't a right fit, it truly is not the right fit, and not because you're portraying a sense of desperation or a sense of, you're allowing things to happen, which we're going to dig into a little bit deeper. This was the one that our poll in our group showed to be the most recognizable reason for the Great Resignation, right? Everybody wants to make more money. Everybody wants to increase their benefits and vacation time and so forth. And some of the wages have really gone off the rails. I spoke to a dentist a couple of weeks ago who had offered a position to a hygienist, and it was going to put him in the hole, but he felt he had no other recourse, and he was willing to do that. She accepted the position only for 45 minutes later for her to call and say, hey, when I gave my resignation to my current employer, he offered me $5 more an hour, what you did, and I'm going to stay now. And plus I get 3 weeks extra of vacation. The doctor just said to me, he said, Corey, I don't know how that doctor could even afford to do that. This is really getting out of control. And it truly is. And I do have some personal theories on how I think this bubble will burst at some point, but probably now is not the platform for that. So what sets your practice apart? We have to be creative. I personally think it can be summed up by 3 C's. It is a puzzle when you want to put together your practice philosophy and put together your practice culture and decide what type of environment you want to attract excellent people, and how are people going to get behind you and support you and your business for moving forward. The 3 C's are core values, consistency, communication. And I'm sure we could come up with more, but hopefully tonight I'm going to pack a lot into our 60 minutes. So if you feel like you need a little bit more information moving forward, you can feel free to take a picture of a slide. If you want to reach out to me afterwards, of course, we'll provide my information as well, because I'm going to throw a lot at you and I have a lot of resources that I'd love to give you. So if you ever have heard of Angela Duckworth, she is the author of the book Grit. Has anyone read it? It's an amazing book, I feel, because it comes from a psychological research perspective, and it talks about perseverance and what really separates people from being perseverance through and gritty through tough times versus those who are not. And this quote to me just struck me as an HR quote. Enthusiasm is common, but endurance is rare. It's a great book. If you guys are interested, you can pick up a copy of it, Audible, or obviously a hard book too. But the point of this is how I apply it to employee relationship is, do you know what it's like to sit down across the desk from someone and just really feel like they're excited to come and work for you? You're excited to have them. You even make a really great offer for them that might tweak a little bit or might pay a little bit more than you really wanted to do, or give them a few extra days of vacation that you thought, they should probably earn those first before I give it to them. But by the end of your 90 days, they may no longer be with you, or even in 6 months, they're not there. And I really thought of that from an endurance standpoint. We're in a really low resilient culture right now. People are excited to start something, but how many people have the endurance to continue? Just food for thought. Core values, our number 1 C. I would encourage you to create your core values. And this is my first resource that I'm going to throw out there for you. If you have never done your core values and you don't know how that can be integrated into your personal and professional value system, drop your email in the chat or send me an email later, and I'd be happy to give you the exercise to do that. So your core values should be about 3 to 5 words that really emulate what you're looking to accomplish in your system, in your business. So for instance, here at Custom Dental Solutions, our core values are kindness, integrity, reliability, efficiency. So you know when you're doing business with us, those are the core values you're going to see. And I know since those are our core values, I want to attract clients who also respect my core values. So I really think this is the key component to hiring, is making sure you're hiring people who share your core values. And like I'll take mine, for instance. I wouldn't want to hire someone that I don't deem to be kind or doesn't respect my clients or their coworkers in a kind manner. That's a core value for me. So again, if you need a core value exercise, let me know, or you can Google it too. There's a lot of great exercises out there to kind of get your wheels turning on what are my core values. And the most important thing about core values is when you make your decisions based off of core values, it's really easy to say yes or no. It's really easy. So what core values would your employees say they see in your practice? Again, if you want to play, you want to participate, you can join at slido.com. And our number is 815-305. What core values do people see when they talk about your practice? Or what do you look for when you're hiring, or things that really are showing your value? So I had a practice the other day say their core values were fun, family, and they kind of alliterated some F words, not bad F words though. So you can do that too. You can have fun creating them together with your team and just creating words that really say, hey, we're having an off day today. I think we need to bring our core value of fun up. How can we have more fun this afternoon? What can we do to maybe take a half day and spend time with our families, as that's a value that we want to project in the business? So anybody have any core values they want to share? All right, then I will move on. All right, so I often ask practices, do you have a culture of teamwork? Teamwork is one of those core values I hear quite a bit. People want to say, hey, I want to cultivate teamwork. Teamwork is a value. What does that mean to cultivate teamwork in your practice? That could mean moving forward towards a goal or a vision that's common, improving that communication or collaboration, or maybe increasing your skills and your training of what you need. So I would ask you, do you have a cultural agreement? Now, this is something that's a little unique to dentistry. I've been preaching this gospel for quite a while, but I really encourage dental offices to have a cultural checklist in their workplace. This is a game changer. So this is ours. You're welcome to take a picture of it, or if you'd like a copy sent to your email, again, you can shoot me an email or put it in the chat and we'd be happy to send you one. So teams create these together because we know if the team doesn't buy in together, they won't move forward. There's a difference between the leader barking out the orders of how this is going to be versus the team being included and what the practice needs to be, of course, under your supervision as the leader. So here's some examples. I will listen fully. I will refrain from formulating a response in the moment. I'm open to learning. I'm going to practice self-awareness. Here's some just pieces that I took out of this cultural checklist. So one practice that I worked with really struggled with gossip. I'm sure your practices don't have any gossip, right? So Orc Triangulation is another fancy word for it. We like to go tell somebody that somebody did something that irked us, or we want to reshare a story about somebody's negativity in the workplace. So an example would be Susie goes to tell Sally how upset she is that Angie left the sterilization room a total mess. She doesn't think that anything is sterilized. This is just frustrating. And so a response would be, just like this office I worked with recently on gossip, is they have a key phrase. Have you talked to her about that yet? That way it tells the listener, I'm not looking to gossip with you about her. In fact, I don't really care what your problem is with her, but I am going to initiate your brain response to say you need to go speak to that person about the concern that you have. And it's a huge game changer for culture and a practice. So if you are one of those practices that is really struggling with keeping team members because of drama or other issues like gossip, this might be a really nice solution for you. So I would encourage you to consider a cultural checklist in your core value system when you hire people. If we don't have a core value system, we have the 5 dysfunctions of a team. So here's a hard copy of the book. I encourage everyone to get a copy if you can, but we talk about the base level of that pyramid is absence of trust. When people don't trust one another, the culture is not confident. The team is not moving forward in the best of the practice. And that's because people have a fear of conflict. They have a lack of commitment. So what do we know? If they have a lack of commitment to your business, they will leave. They have nothing that keeps them there. They don't feel invested. They don't feel tied into your mission and vision because we're not keeping people accountable, that 4th rung on the pyramid as well. And then we see inattention to results. When nobody keeps anybody accountable, such as a cultural checklist, we have no results to move forward. And we have people leaving our practices to go find employment elsewhere. On a side note, there was a study I read recently that said people that leave for more money within 30 days reflect on wishing they were still at their previous job. The grass wasn't greener for the extra $5 an hour or, an extra week of vacation, whatever it was. After they left, within 30 days, they wanted to return. Now, that's an interesting topic too, just simply because usually when we consider a breakup or a closure, it's a breakup or a closure, but we are actually seeing people return. I'll be curious to hear from you guys if you guys have had that too, where someone goes for greener pastures and realizes, hey, it wasn't worth it, and they're back in your culture. All right, the second C is consistency. What are your office practice policies and business expectations of the people that you work with, that you've hired? So some of the questions that I like to ask when someone's having issues with keeping team members, I like to ask them these. These are very practical questions. What is the mission and vision? And is the practice staying true to them? We need to be consistent. So these are the must-haves that we need for consistency. Has the team been given their written job expectations? Sometimes doctors will say, oh, Corey, I don't want to put it in writing because I want a team environment. I want everybody to pitch in, to take the garbage, to shake the shaker. I want everybody to do all these different pieces. And I agree. But if someone doesn't have a written job expectation of their overview of what their role is in the position is within the practice, there is no consistency. And that goes along with the office manual as well. If you need a new office manual, they really should be updated every 12 months. We can assist with that if you need some guidance on that as well. But your office manual should be reflective of what's going on in the practice. That's why we update them every year, because things change. And then we need to hold to those policies. And does the team understand the core values of the mission and vision of the practice? Are they upholding those words that you put in place for action items? So speaking throughout the country and being with dental offices all over the US, these are some common inconsistencies. So check your pulse and see if you are struggling with any of these. Number 1, behavioral acceptance for some employees and not others. This is again coming from employee view. Number 2, team members acting with authority without literally being given that title or trained to be in that title. This happens often when somebody is a senior member of the team, such as an administrator who's never been given the job title of office manager, but acts in that manner. And the team is like, well, is she our office manager? Is he our office manager? We just don't really know. But they're getting some vibe that that person is in charge, but is it only because they're the senior member? So really evaluate your team right now and say, do we need some clarity on what the title and training is for some of these individuals? Number 3 is team meetings that do not produce action. This is a huge complaint that I see in dental offices, and I can reflect even to my own experience as a new dental hygienist coming out of Marquette back in 2002. I worked for a practice that we had these monthly office meetings, and we had a lovely office manager. However, we would go off site and have these brunch meetings, and she would come with her little notebook, her agenda that none of us had seen in advance. And it was literally her list of complaints of everything we had done through that month that wasn't good. So as a hygienist, I'd be ducked on there because I didn't, have a good PA to accompany an insurance claim or something like that. And she very kindly went through her list of everything that bothered her about us as a team. So then we'd go back to the practice after eating our brunch and, get back to the day. And that was it. It was basically our office manager venting at all the frustrations that we had caused her over a month, and nothing ever moved forward. So I would encourage you to not do that. So what is the solution? The solution is have an agenda that everybody participates in. Yes, you need someone to lead the meeting, whether that's you, a practice manager, a lead of sorts. However, that agenda needs to be posted or put together in a manner that people are prepared before they go to the meeting. Because I know from my perspective, I got into the habit of realizing I'm going for this brunch meeting only to get yelled at and nothing's going to happen. It was not profitable and it didn't move the business forward. So think about some common areas of consistency that maybe you struggle with. Do you have any areas that you're kind of thinking of right now too, where if I pulled your employees, what would they say? What areas of consistency maybe do you need some help with in your practice? So again, if you want to join us on Slido, feel free to throw those up on the screen or in the chat. If you feel like you want to do that, that's fine too. But it's really important to evaluate the way that we are consistent or inconsistent. And I don't care what owner type you are as far as personality or as far as partnership or whatever, we all struggle with being consistent in our practices. So we have a response here, no follow through. Exactly. And this is a common one, just because maybe we want to avoid a conflict, or we want to, we just forget, we move on to something else, or, we just feel that there's a concern with, if I rock the boat, somebody's going to get mad and walk out. So that's a great example. I'm sure there are plenty of people here that would echo the no follow through as well. Awesome. All right. So here are some follow throughs for us. Here's some action items. So again, take a picture of the slide if this helps you, or write some notes down, whichever way you learn. Action items. Review your action items for your next team meeting. Check the pulse of your team. Ask people, what are your perceptions of the teamwork in this office? People are pretty honest. They'll share with you what they really feel. And then decide whether teamwork is seen as important or unimportant, and maybe accomplish one goal. Look for a goal that can help that team take that first step towards teamwork. And then writing goals down, writing your own personal goals down, writing your own business goals and things that you want to achieve moving forward. It keeps us accountable. Remember our pyramid, our 5 levels there, it keeps us accountable to our team as well on what we want to accomplish. And the cool thing is when you write those goals down and you involve your team, they buy into that and they will help you reach those goals too. And they'll desire to learn more and more. Here's some fun things, some fun measurables too. So putting the consistency of calendar of fun events on the team, on the calendar, just what are some things you can do so that you're not backtracking? How many of you have a Christmas party that still is rescheduled, right? Oh yeah, by the time we get to the winter holidays, none of us have a Friday open for the Christmas party. We'll put it on in advance and make it a non-negotiable. This is our date. We always do our celebration the 3rd week of January or whatever works best for your practice, but get it on the calendar so people have something measurable to look forward to. And then find some things, just like something like a consistent laundry day. Is there a day that everybody takes a turn, including yourself, to do the laundry or to do cleaning or take out trash or something, whatever, the drill. Find something that fits your practice here. And be in charge of the monthly schedule for the inspirational huddle quotes. Those are really valuable too. Be the leader in that way. That really motivates the team as well to start their day on a positive note. One of my favorites right now, especially because I get the question so often of the lack of employees or the lack of employee pool. What can we do, Corey? The last one is schedule some cross training days. So every person has a job replacement. Of course, we can't do that with licensed professionals, but who in the practice maybe could answer phones or could, come and sterilize the instrument or learn some chair side techniques. Think about who might be willing to do that. Somebody had mentioned before, leaving their practice because of a lack of growth. It's very growth minded to cross train individuals to do other things. Now, I do understand that there are going to be people that are insurance coordinators and the thought of saliva kills them, right? Like, no, I don't want to be back there. Is there something else they could be cross trained to do? Open your mind and think about how this might be a potential blessing in your office versus a curse if you're lacking employees right now. All right, our third C, we're doing okay on time, is communication. And you can roll your eyes because isn't communication the key to everything? It is the key to everything. However, employees who feel that their voice is heard, and being heard means listened to and being present, not on the way to checking an exam to kind of hear, are 4.6 times more likely to feel empowered to perform their best work. So if you really take the time to listen and listen with the intent of hearing versus responding, you're empowering that employee. And I love seeing this in action because it really is encouraging. Employees, when they feel seen and heard, they are bonded to you. But what does real communication look like, right? Let's talk about a few things that I can give you practically that you can take into the office right away tomorrow. So obviously you've been doing dentistry, for a while, or maybe you're newer. You've learned a little bit about people, whether it's patients we're treating, whether it's people we're working with. We all have different personality styles. You've maybe noticed some people are more dominant and it's their way or no way, or they like to take leadership roles. Some people are a little bit more laid back, less conflict, and maybe you have taken a personality assessment. We do those a lot at Custom Dental Solutions as well, especially when we're doing team reports to kind of learn about values and pace and things like that. But we all have different personality styles. And, we're in a place where we have to work with one another. And so learning techniques to have better communication due to everyone's personality preferences really sets up the practice for success. One of my keys is private communication. Sometimes I find my doctors like to gossip a little bit too, or share information with other team members or employees that don't need to be in on some kind of conversation. So I would encourage you to sit down with each of your team members and really listen and really ask them, what do we do really good here? And listen to their response and celebrate with them what you do really good. And then say, what could we improve upon? And be a willing recipient of that information. You're going to know by their body language if they're really willing to share that with you or if they're hesitant to share that. And then what do you can ask them, what can we do to support you? And how can we keep you accountable? And if you're working with a partner or somebody that you feel is a part of your team, maybe a practice manager or administrator, how can you keep that accountability on particular goals? One other question I like to ask people is, what are you learning more about? Whether it's dentistry or gardening or whatever, get to learn more about what people are looking for and what they're doing. What are they learning? And that's all wonderful and exciting. But what if something is negative? What if you have to have a difficult conversation? Or what if you, as the owner dentist, have messed up, so to speak? So this is my flow chart for that process of communication. Find out what went wrong, because what do? A lot of times we have silent treatment, or people just resign from the practice and we don't actually get to find out what happened. If we're to blame or if someone else is to blame, we want to apologize for the outcome and then also reason with them and say, hey, this is why I made the decision I did. And then state what you want for the future and how that actionable will be a little bit different. And then lastly, that empathetic listening, again, putting yourself in their shoes, not sympathy, like, oh, I feel sorry for you, but actually thinking, wow, I'm sure it is really challenging to get your kids off to school every day and get to work by 8 o'clock. How could we work together to make that easier for you? Or could you set an alarm so you could be here on time? Or, what situation could we put in place? Because going back to the inconsistencies of employer-employee, one of the other big complaints that I hear is differential treatment again in how someone can come late and someone doesn't. So using that as an example, especially right now, as that is a very real concern for many dental practices, what can we do to be empathetic, to listen and work together? And I want to address this comment in the chat before we talk about this next technique. So with the hiring crisis, we do not feel we're in a position to remove or reprimand the employees who are not meeting expectations. Yes, very true, Samantha. What advice do you have for that? Yep, and frustrating other employees and lack of consistency. Excellent question. That is a very real problem, especially because if you do release those people, and then are you working without a chairside assistant? Are you, working without, being able to use your production to continue to grow your practice? It's a very, very real problem. I do hold to the belief that you have to run the ship that you're created to run. And if that means you're going to run short staffed, you need to do it. I have seen over and over teams step up when that toxic person is released or that toxic person is asked to leave or be reprimanded. I do understand feeling like a hostage to an employee who comes in whenever they want, or perhaps doesn't perform to the level we need to. But again, that's why we have those written policies in place. And we do follow a guideline of, I am going to write you up. Well, if they walk out, then they do. I actually have a couple doctors right now working without hygienists because of this particular concern. And in fact, the one just hired, will hire the doctor, the new dentist will graduate this spring, to come on and be a new dentist and also do all the hygiene, because he just said, look, I can't find a hygienist. I'm being creative in the way that I'm hiring, and I really respect this new grad. This person potentially wants to be an owner in my practice. We're going to start them off with doing hygiene and some simple fillings and just mentoring. And that was a solution for him because of a toxic hygienist who continued to not respect the values in the practice that have been set up. And he does have written protocols and is very respectful to his team. So it truly was the employee issue. But I understand, I'm empathetic to that. It is really challenging to know how far to take these conversations and fear that someone's just going to walk out the door. I've in 28 years of dentistry and culture, I have never seen this in dentistry before, where there's just such a lack of pool of people that are qualified to come and work for us. And then how people can get away with such disrespectful behavior and truly not care. It's challenging as owners. One technique I'd love for you guys to take away with for tonight, so you can either take a picture of this or write my words down as well. So when we have to have those difficult conversations, and we can use an employee reprimand as an example too, to Samantha's point, I wish, I wonder. So I'll give you an example as a doctor to an assistant. Step 1, I like the way you set up my treatment room. Step 2, I wish it could be done a little quicker as we are continuing to run behind when we see patients. I'd like to see that happen. I wonder, what would it take for you to be able to set up this room in 5 minutes versus 10 minutes, or whatever category you need. It's just an example of showing them, I like what you do. I like the way you set up this room. I do need it to be set up on time. Like this person that set up your room maybe is taking a very long and precise process, maybe just because their personality style is a little bit more that way. But what can we do to partner together so that I can improve this pain point for myself, i.e. seeing patients on time, and you being able to do this room and turn this room over and set it up in an appropriate manner? It really diffuses defense, and it also shows that you care to partner with them. This is one of my favorite techniques when it comes to employee performance and having to address a difficult conversation in the office. And I'm sure you guys can think of examples too of how you can use I like, I wish, I wonder. So here's a great slide of a happy dental team, right? Like this is everybody's dental team, isn't it? Not always. In fact, what about the job candidate? We've addressed the pool is very slim. We've addressed how do we use the 3 C's to attract and retain the best people we can possibly employ. These are my 3 investment questions. Number 1, does that person that I'm looking to hire or that I'm investing in right now, do they have the desire to learn? There is nothing worse than someone who is robbing you financially with their wage and does not give a crap about learning or putting anything into the business you're growing. They are not worth that continued investment. Number 2, have they been given the proper training? We do a disservice to our employees if we do not give them the proper training for them to be content, fulfilled, and supported in their roles. Here's a great example. We may hire an administrator who has no Dentrix training at all. And they're thrown into the front because that's what we do. We throw people in. We don't usually have a proper training protocol in private practice dentistry. I know my own experience in private practice dentistry. I was a dental assistant. I was 18 years old, and my first chairside experience was thrown into an extraction, holding a suction. Doctor's teaching me as I'm holding. Office manager comes by and says, "Hey, we're going to McDonald's. Do you want anything?" That's what we do. So number 2, have we been given the proper training to those that we've hired? Do they need some training on something to be successful or to keep their fire alive for your practice and for dentistry? You know, we all feel an element of burnout. We all do. In fact, I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go to the Bahamas for a week. Yes, because I haven't had a vacation for a while and I can feel I need to recharge. I'm tired. I can feel it tonight. And so we need to give that fire fueling to our team members by proper training. And don't be cheap. If they want to take a class or they want to have a trainer come in and sit side by side and enhance their work environment, invest in them, invest in them. And then number 3, this one is the challenging one. Are they capable of understanding the skill that I've hired them to do or that I'm potentially hiring them to do? Nothing is worse than an eager employee who just literally doesn't have it, right? You've maybe worked by somebody chair side who doesn't have the tactile skills, or they're just not going to be the right fit for you because they don't match your pace, or they just don't understand how to present a treatment plan. And those are challenging conversations because then it is our responsibility as owners to release them into something that will be their best fit and their best fulfillment as well. So one of my favorite quotes of all time, if you've ever heard me speak, I include this with every conversation. If we don't create and control our environment will create and control us. So I encourage you as owners of your practice to create and control your environment and not let the lack of the 3 C's be a part of what makes your practice not retain excellence in employees. So again, review those core values. If you need assistance with that, I'm happy to help. Review your consistency. Am I being consistent? And then number 3, where are you falling on the communication scale? Maybe it's time to sit down and not just schedule reviews, but sit down and really listen. What are your team members going through? How are they doing? How are they feeling? How are they enjoying or not enjoying the environment that you're creating? So I, again, would welcome any of your conversations. you'd like to contact me, I have my phone number here. We have obviously all the social media outlets as well here at Custom Dental. We're on all the platforms. But I would tell you, one of the things that you can do that's completely free is to sign up for our newsletter on our website. We send that out every month, sometimes a little bit more, but we try not to overwhelm you. But we try to alert you of the continuing education availability that we have. We also try to give you great tips so that your private practice is successful. And we really try to give you support so that you feel seen and heard as well. Because tonight's conversation was about dental employees. And maybe we'll have another conversation about dental owners, right? About how you want to, how you need to feel. And a lot of us feel burnout. A lot of us feel stress. And we need to get away. We need to recharge. And I hope that you are able to do that, because if you don't recharge and you don't get away, you won't be any good for your team. So I'm totally here to answer any questions. If you want to unmute and ask a question, you're welcome to do that. We have about 7 minutes until 7 o'clock. And I did want to be aware of our time because most of us worked all day. And I know I'm getting up at 3:30 tomorrow to hitch a ride to the Bahamas. So, you know, I understand what it's like to move on with time, but I do appreciate and respect everyone's time this evening, being able to just jump in and learn a few tips and tricks. So again, if you could use the core value exercise, happy to send that to you. I also have another resource for those of you that are hiring. We didn't have time to squeeze that in the presentation tonight, but I do have my own little practical guide to HR. And so if that's something you would like, my questionnaire, and you'd like my system of how I hire for your dental practices, I'm happy to send you that tip sheet over. I do a little bit of a step-by-step of my communication, phone screen, and then questions I ask in the interview process. So if you're still using an archaic interview process system, or if you're one of those eager beavers offering these hygienist jobs over the phone before they're met, please get my HR cheat sheet, shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to send that over to you as well. So let's check and see if we have any questions. Just some lovely thank yous. Thank you so much for the messages, you guys. Appreciate everybody's time tonight. And again, reach out if you have any questions. I really want to see your success in your private practice. If we can help in any way, let us know. All right.
All right. Thank you, Corey. Have a safe flight. Enjoy your time. And thank you for squeezing us in before you head out to fabulous Bahama land. We're all probably jealous and envious. So think of us while you're gone. And I will be sure to share Corey's information tomorrow when I send out your CE certificate, so you can get in touch with her if you have any questions. But thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope you have a great week.